Hello again team, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin and welcome back for another video. As the title suggests, today I have my April plan with me, so setting up for April 2021 in my Archer & Olive B notebook. Before we get into that though, as per usual, we're just going to have a look at how this month was going. For March I went with a nautical theme, and although my use of my bullet journal was kind of varied this month, I did certainly like how my spreads turned out. It was fun getting to try a new lettering style for the headers, using a contrasting colour palette, and also having some fun with my borders by doing the rope borders and also the torn paper borders. This spread in particular is one that I found very useful, so I'll be putting a similar version in my April setup. And in terms of my weekly logs, although I did like the layout of these, it was very much another one of those months that I kinda got bored using the same layout repeatedly. This happens pretty much every time I try and do that, so I don't know why I keep trying it, but you know, sometimes we have to have the same lesson a couple of times before things stick. Talking about sticking, here I'm sticking a rectangle of craft packing tape to the center of my quote page. The packing tape is activated with water, so throughout the setup I used my Pentel Aquash water brush to make sure I was getting good coverage all over the back of any craft paper sections. I wanted to make sure that everything was stuck down thoroughly, but I also wanted to be careful not to add too much water. When deciding on my theme for April, all I really knew is that I wanted to use craft paper in some form. And that's pretty much as far as my imagination got me. Craft paper. So an incredibly uninspired Jess took to her Instagram saves folder. Anytime I'm on Instagram and I see any pictures of spreads that really stand out as something I'd like to try or look really cool, I make sure to save them for when I'm feeling uninspired like I did this month. But the picture that I came across that really sent me towards the theme I'm doing for this month was this one by Claudia of Sunshine Journal over on Instagram. I loved the combination of the brown with the pink, and the layering of different elements like the craft paper, washi tape, the little boxes with the text, and I also love the typewriter font. So I added those elements into my half-baked theme idea. Still not satisfied though, I took to YouTube, and one of the first videos I came across when looking up April Plan With Me's was actually a cherry blossoms theme by bujo. And I thought, wow, this is perfect. I can incorporate the pink, I can incorporate the brown, and all the other elements that I wanted to use I can incorporate regardless of the theme. I know this is a very long-winded way to explain how I came to be doing a cherry blossoms theme, but I thought it was important to let you guys know that some months I'm just not feeling inspired, so the process of coming up with a theme is a bit more drawn out. Since seeing bujo's video and selecting to do the cherry blossom theme for myself, I've seen at least 2 other April 2020 Plan With Me videos that are doing the same theme. I mean, I cannot even tell you how many April Plan With Me videos that I've watched just over the past week. Having been in such a creative slump, I really went to town in terms of looking for inspiration, both theme-wise and layout-wise. Because of that though, I am using some layouts that I haven't tried before, which I'm excited about. The quote that I've gone for this month though is by Nin and says, "And then the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." I felt that this one not only fit well with my theme, but also kind of fits well with some of the feelings I've been having recently. Not going to go into any detail with that, but let's just say that this quote is fitting for the season of life I'm in at the moment. Talking about seasons, here in New Zealand we're coming into mid-autumn, so doing what's really a floral theme doesn't necessarily fit so well in my neck of the woods. I know that for the majority of my regular viewers though, it's spring where you are, and I swear I have actually seen so many videos reference that quote from The Devil Wears Prada.
They're showing a lot of florals right now, so I was thinking I could
Florals? For spring. Groundbreaking.
I mean, I think that florals are pretty common at all times of year in the bullet journal community, so I'm not too fussed about doing a florals theme when florals are typical outside of our community as well. I do typically try to be a little bit different with the themes that I choose at any given point in the year, but honestly, I really like how this theme is turning out so far. For the cover page I'm doing here, this was inspired by this picture from Nicole C Designs on Instagram. Of course, I also wanted to incorporate some of my other design elements, so the craft paper, the layering, but the partial wreath in particular was inspired by her picture. If you've been here for a while, then you'll likely know that organic shapes aren't really my forte. I much prefer geometric shapes and ruled lines, so drawing the branches was a particular challenge for me. I did find that using the hard-tipped Tombow Fudenosuke pen worked quite well though. It was just much easier to get inconsistencies in the thickness of the lines, which made them look more like branches. Also, if you're curious about any of the other supplies I've used in this setup, I do have them linked in the description box below. After colouring in my cherry blossoms though, and adding in some final details and washi tape, the quote and cover pages were finished. These two took 29 and 23 minutes respectively, but this time doesn't include the sketching in or idea generation. Flipping on over, we are onto the monthly log. Instead of using a full calendar layout for April, I was instead inspired by this layout from Pretty Llama Plans over on Instagram. As I said, I did a lot of searching for inspiration this month. For the header on this spread and each of the ones that follow, I made use of the craft packing tape again, just sticking it to the top by activating the adhesive on the back with some water. I then cut off any of the excess paper and used my Creative Memories corner rounder to smooth out those edges. As I said before, two of the elements I wanted to include in this setup were layered paper and a typewriter style font. For pretty much all of my headers, the days of the month, and even my habit labels in this setup, I made these on the computer in Microsoft Word and then cut them out and fixed double-sided tape on the back. I won't say this was necessarily a quick process, especially the putting double-sided tape on everything part, but I do like how it helped to make all of my pages in this setup look cohesive. If you are curious about making your own printed headers though, I have a video about the process that I use linked in the description box below that you can check out as well. For April, you can see that I have a combination of a small calendar layout and a vertical monthly log. The idea with this one is that I'll represent events that repeat themselves on the small calendar using icons, while the more one-off type events will go on the vertical section. I decided to go for this one because I know that half of the month of April is going to be school, whereas the other half of the month is going to be the holiday period. So I won't necessarily have quite as much to record as I would in a typical month where I'm at school for the whole time. I also appreciated that this style allowed me to do a little bit of decoration in the bottom left corner. So for that I opted in for another branch of cherry blossom, but instead of drawing the blossoms out in full, I just used little coloured dots to represent buds. The monthly log took me 25 minutes, while my habit tracker that I'm starting here took me 24. This time was certainly increased because I decided to go with mini calendars, but I always love how mini calendars make it so much easier to see the trends in a week. So what days of the week am I consistently not doing or am doing a certain habit? I do enjoy trying different styles of habit tracker, for instance my hexagonal tracker that I did in February, but there are some styles like the mini calendar and the vertical style habit tracker that I just keep coming back to. If you were looking to change up your habit tracker, I do also have a video on different styles of habit trackers that might be useful. That one's also listed in the description box. Flipping over though, on this spread I'm going to be putting my April bucket list and my content schedule. I don't populate the bucket list in this video, but this is going to house 9 items from my 101 things list that you may have seen in this Plan With Me's intro. If you hadn't heard me explain it before, my 101 things list is essentially a list of 101 things that I want to achieve this year, or do this year. Some of them are really teeny tiny, and some of them are more big ticket items. And at this stage I actually don't have the full list filled in, so if you had any suggestions of things that I could include, I would love to hear them. The way that I'm going to populate this bucket list page though is likely by typing up and printing off little labels to stick over the pink boxes that I have here. For my content schedule, I'm trying a different layout to what I normally do. Typically I like to have my Instagram, YouTube and Patreon stuff separate. But for April I decided to combine it into one big tracker. I have 3 main columns for the 3 different platforms, and then one column on the right to describe the type of content I'm putting out. I'm interested to see how this works in practice, but I think that having them all combined will give me a better idea of what and how much I'm putting out when. Help me to better identify possible pressure points and plan for those in advance. These 2 pages took 10 and then 8 minutes, and then it's over the page onto the most time-consuming spread in this setup. This one is a combination of a productivity log, a mood tracker, and a 2 lines a day spread. Because we're trying to fit so much information on this one, I decided I needed a Dutch door. So that middle Dutch door segment is going to hold the 2 lines a day and the mood tracker component, whereas the 2 larger pages on either side are going to be for the productivity tracker. If you hadn't come across a productivity log like this one before, the general gist is that for each day you have a series of boxes that you fill with icons to represent the ways that you were productive. This layout was inspired by Ricardo of the Boosted Journal, and I do have a video that goes into more detail about how to set this one up and how it can be used. Again, you can find a link to that one in the description box as well. I've been meaning to bring back this layout for a little while now, but I figured April was the perfect time to do it because, as I mentioned, I'll be on holidays. But I want to make sure that I'm still getting work done during the holiday period so that my term period isn't quite as stressful. I will certainly say that my lack of preparation over the holiday break has probably contributed to the amount of stress that I've been feeling this term. That and just, general school and life shenanigans, but yeah. I want to be as prepared as I can be for term 2. And I know that this layout will certainly help with that. In terms of the 2 lines a day and mood tracker component, I just have a little box each day which I can colour in based on what my mood is. I haven't decided on the colour scale for that yet, but I'll probably make a little key on the part that I cut off for the Dutch door. And the 2 lines a day component is just what it sounds like. 2 lines to write about what happened in the day, memories, that kind of stuff. 43 minutes later, my excessive amount of ruling is finished, and we can turn over onto those pages that I enjoyed so much in March, so my topic checklists and my term schedule. My topic checklist page is just a space for me to list out all of the key lessons that I have in each of the current topics for each of my classes, whereas the term schedule space is just a way to see everything that's going on in term 2 at a glance. Both of these pages were super helpful in March, so I figured they'd probably be helpful again in April. Although term 2 doesn't actually start until May, because I'm intending on getting my materials ready for term 2 in April, I figured it was best to have these pages in here. In terms of timing, this spread took the least amount of time for this setup, with the topic checklist page taking 7 minutes and the schedule taking 9. Question of the day for you guys: what is your theme for April? Have you gone with an oh-so-typical theme like me, or are you doing something a little bit different? Also, if you're stumped on theme ideas, make sure to check out the comments from other people. It's a great place to find inspiration. As I mentioned at the start of the video, finding a theme was tricky for me this month, but I actually have another video coming out next weekend about how to find/come up with monthly theme ideas. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, do make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. For the final flip through though, we have my quote and cover page, a dual monthly log and mini calendar habit tracker, my April bucket list and content planner, a combined productivity tracker, mood tracker and 2 lines a day page, and then my school related pages being my topic checklists and my term 2 schedule. Doing a cherry blossom theme for April may not be groundbreaking, but I really love how this turned out, and I'm really looking forward to setting up my weekly spreads. As always team, thank you for watching. If you liked today's video, please do make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to my channel for more on planning, productivity, and personal development. Until next time, bye!